Hello, greetings, and welcome to Dividend Blasters. This is our fourth video for the channel. Uh, Today's video is going to be a little bit different than the others. The others, if you recall, were more along the lines of me recommending dividend growth investments that I invest in and that I've looked at that I feel that are sound investments uh, to create passive income, to build wealth. Today's going to be a little different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you, I'm going to illustrate through a tool that I use to build, that I built to track my dividend income. Um, so let me tell you a little bit about how this came about. I got a call yesterday from a mentor of mine who I've known for many years, who has mentored me professionally in my business career, but has also given me great guidance around investing. He's been investing a lot longer than I have. I have great respect and reverence for this gentleman. So when he called, I thought, wow, what's going on? And he said, hey, listen, I been listening to your videos and I got some feedback for you. And I'm like, uh-oh. you know, all right. Hey, I'd love to hear it. So I was listening, kind of wondering if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad. Does he like it? Does he hate it? And he said, I like it. I like your conversational approach. I feel like you're speaking directly to me, the viewer. It's not like listening to somebody reading a textbook, which is good because I'm more of a talker than a reader. Uh, but he said, in my judgment, I think that it would be a mistake if you did not show a practical way to track dividends. And maybe perhaps you could show a tool that you might use that's on the market. There's a lot of tools out there. Some of them are very fancy and sophisticated. And I said, oh yeah, I know. And there's some here on YouTube. A lot of folks are very good at putting together really wonderful applications. And they got a lot of bells and whistles, and they're very automated. I said, however, I don't really use those. I'm not even that familiar with them. I built my own tool in Excel, and I'm more comfortable with it. For me, it does the job. It's fairly simple. I like simple. I also understand how it works and how everything fits together. So for me, that's a good, you know, that's a good fit for me. So then I asked him, I said, listen, let me ask you, do you think that that would be useful for the viewer if I show them my tool? And he said, yes, I think it would, and stress the simplicity of it and how you find utility out of it. And I said, all right, I'll commit to doing that. But since this is your idea, um, would you mind sharing with me your portfolio or a subset of it? And I could share that in my tool. And I said, don't worry, I'm not going to share your name or your cell phone. And nobody's going to bother you or, your address. But what I like is that your portfolio is impressive. You've been doing this a long time. And mostly your portfolio, as I understand it, based on our discussions for years, is a wonderful cross section across multiple industry sectors. Uh, I would think that that would be really quite interesting to show in the tool. I think the viewer might find that interesting. They'll see the differences in the dividend yields by sector, by holding, but even by sector. That would be cool. Would you be willing to do that? And what I'd be looking for would be the holding name, the ticker symbol. Um, if you could give me an approximation of what the cost for each of the holdings was. And, I understand that, when we invest, we don't buy all the holdings at once at one cost. It's over multiple transactions over a long period of time. I said, I don't want all that. Just give me one cost figure. It can be an approximation. I can work with that. And then, what I'll do is I'll show basically what the gain is against the current market price, what the market value is for the holding. I'll even calculate things like the dividend yield, or not the dividend yield, but the yield on cost, and I can explain that. Would you be willing to do that? He said, yes, I'll do that. I can send you something later today that won't be hard to do. And he did it. He sent me a nice list of some of his portfolio. And boy, it's impressive. He's been doing it a long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what I've generated in the tool from his portfolio, and I think you'll find this instructive. So hang tight. Okay, so here we are in the tracking tool, uh, calling it Dividend Blasters Portfolio. I'm giving it today's date. So this is the tool that I use, and this has my friend's holdings or a piece of them. And so let me just give you kind of the layout. There's 3 tabs here. The one here, this first one has the listing of the holdings. The second tab has a calendar that I'll go through later that shows when to expect a dividend payment by month. And then we have another reporting tab that gives us kind of a level up of the holdings by industry sector. But let's take a look at this first. So, we have the ticker symbol, the name, the cost per share of the holding, where he got in, the total cost of the holdings. I derive this by the number of shares and the product of the number of shares and the cost per share. I have the latest price, the closing price as of last Friday. This here is a dividend metric. This here basically speaks to when the next dividend payment will be. So I can go ahead and get the calculated dividend payment in the calendar. Here we have the forward yield. This is basically an estimate of what the expected dividend yield will be, and that's as a percentage of the price of the holding. Here it is by dollar amount as well. I also have another dividend rate metric, and the dividend rate TTM, and it's a 12-month trending 12 months, and it's basically a look back at the rate. I did pull this in because when we're looking at ETFs, you can't find, at least where I looked, a dividend forward rate for ETFs. I could find more of the historical yield, so I pulled that in. But in most cases, I use the forward yield rate. We have the 5-year dividend growth rate. We covered that pretty extensively in the first 3 videos. I got the calculated market value, and that's basically the number of shares and the closing price. So the market value is going to change throughout each trading day. Here we have estimated annual dividend income. So I'm deriving that based on the number of shares and the dividend rate by dollar in cents. I'm coming up with it that way. Uh, those are more the dividend metrics. This here is more of the portfolio value measurement, and it's basically measuring how the portfolio is doing on a day-to-day basis. So, and that's going to be driven by obviously the number of shares, but the price. And we can tell where he is gaining and where he's losing. So you can see that here. Sometimes I shade this. So if he would be losing, it would be shaded red or pink. If he's gaining, it would be shaded green. I don't have that in here, but that's fairly easy to put in. Cutting to the chase, his cost for his holdings has been around 1.02 million, and his current market value is around 1.467 million. So his gain, and it's this column here, is around 447K. He has done well. He's a pretty savvy investor, but I think he has lost in a couple. Let's see. Okay, well, he has lost here, and he's lost here. So let's take a look. So his cost for his holdings has been around 1.02 million, and his current market value is around 1.467 million. So his gain, and it's this column here, is around 447K. He has done well. He's a pretty savvy investor, but I think he has lost in a couple. Let's see. Okay, well, he has lost here, and he's lost here. So let's take a look. So he lost in Edison. He's losing in Edison. These are unrealized because he hasn't sold these. Edison is one of those companies, and we'll talk more about this later, that's involved in gene editing and genome, resequencing. A lot of folks think that gene editing and gene resequencing is going to be the next big thing, and it's essentially where researchers have identified a way to go ahead and resequence genes in people, and the objective would be to take out disease like cancer or Parkinson's. So these are things that the researchers are working on. Very interesting. He's got a bunch of these here. So Genetic Technologies, Caribou, Pacific Biosciences. A lot of these, they do not pay dividends. They're actually fairly cheap. So something to look at. Let's just see here. So he's got a few that he's got a negative position on. So let's see. These two right here. Caribou, Editus. Okay, so those are the other two. And then SoFi Technologies. SoFi is a fairly well-known financial services platform where you can go ahead and open up a online savings account, checking account, a trading account even. You can trade stocks on it. You can take out loans. It's pretty cool. They've been getting beat up the last year, but they seem to have, from what I've read, a pretty cool future. I actually have a few shares of them. He's got 2,500 shares. Not bad. Of course, it's pretty cheap right now. So let's see what else. What else is he not winning in right now? He's winning in most of the stuff. He's doing pretty well. I like to show the industry sector, and so that comes into play in the third tab, where we can do some reporting. I also like to show the percentage each holding contributes to the entire portfolio. So let's take a look. What are some of his big ones? Well, here's one for 6.29%. It's an ETF, and it's the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF for VTI. Okay. That looks to be one of his big ones. Let's just find one other one. Here's one for almost 13%, and it's a defense stock. Lockheed Martin. And Lockheed Martin's an expensive stock, and he's got 395 shares, so his holdings are sizable. Wow, almost 190K. And he's getting about $4,740 in dividends. Might be Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF for VTI. Okay. That looks to be one of his big ones. Let's just find one other one. Here's one for almost 13%, and it's a defense stock. Lockheed Martin. And Lockheed Martin's an expensive stock, and he's got 395 shares, so his holdings are sizable. Wow, almost 190K. And he's getting about $4,740 in dividends. Might be easier if I went ahead and did a split. Let me try this here. I'm afraid to do that because I have these filters in here. But basically, this is where our dividend income is right here. So he's getting almost $50,000 in dividend income. His gain on his investments to date, and it's unrealized, is $447,000. Okay. We can go here and we can see Panels, two panels, one that's more focused on market share, one that is focused on dividend income. So here is the total market value, again, 1.467 million. His cost was 1,020,000. Here's the loss and the gain. So there's the 447. So you can see it up a level. And he's done well in the IT. And I recall that his IT holdings, he hit two of them, one in Visa and one in Microsoft. Those are great stocks. I actually covered those in the first session. Both of them were going ex-dividend this month. Both are technology stocks. Let's see, what's another one to look at? His ETFs, 75K. Okay, he's doing well. I think what I saw earlier was he's doing better on the Vanguard than he is on the more recent ones. His more recent ones are SCHD and JEPI. And, he's he's making about $4,600 there. Not as much. Those are more recent. He's been in these Vanguard ones longer, and he's making a little bit more money. I think that was column L. Column M. Nope, column L. Nope, I'm sorry. Column N. Let's go to column N. Yeah, look, he's making about $70,000 in unrealized gains. So that's where his ETF is mostly in the Vanguard. He's gaining. But you see what we're doing here. We go down. Oops. We go down to the holdings level. We bring it up here at the industry sector level. We can track the portfolio value, the gain and the loss. And then we're also looking at, same line items, but we're looking at it from an income dimension. So communications, he's making about $3,300 in dividend income. Okay, not bad. He's making quite a bit more in his energy stocks. He's got quite a few energy holdings. We saw that he's got, let's take a look here. Ooh, I'm so envious of his holdings. He's been doing it a long time. He's got Valero, he's got ExxonMobil, he's got Katera, Devon Energy, ConocoPhillips, Chevron. It's interesting. There's a pattern here. The stocks that I'm talking about, he's got. So he has influenced me with his investment choices through the years. And so he should take that as a compliment. Let's see, what else does he have here? He's got another one. Marathon Petroleum. I don't have this one. This is a nice one. So that's the lion's share of them. Does he have any others? I think that was it. His energy stocks. And let's see what else. His defense stocks. So defense, industrials, and defense, I know he's got Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and Northrop. Let's take a look here. We can just do a filter. Let's just do that. Well, in industrial stocks, he's got Waste Management and UPS. But what I was thinking of was he's got Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin. He's getting a nice dividend income from Lockheed Martin, about $4,700. So that's not bad. That's pretty doggone good. So you see what we're doing. And then one other thing that we calculated is the estimated yield on cost. Let me actually go back here to the first page. Let's select all of them for a second. So the yield on cost is essentially the dividend income over the cost of the investment. So for instance, we are looking at let's take one stock. He's got Aflac, okay? So he is getting $269 a year in Aflac, and his total cost was $8,160. That comes to about 3.29%. So my tool actually does a calculation. It'll do a calculation for every single holding. And the total yield on cost for his portfolio is nice. It's a healthy 4.88%. Some of these are in the twos and the threes, which is standard. He's got some of these that are high. So here's one that's looks like it's 12.6%. Let's see what that is. So that's Jeppy. So he is actually, and I mentioned that he hasn't made a lot of gains on these newer ETFs. But what's driving up his yield on cost is that he's got 308 shares. So he's only gone up about $3, but 308 shares will drive up the yield, which is over 12%. Because remember, the cost is the cost. It's what he paid, but he's continuing to get a yield on a growing holding, if you will. Remember we talked about the dividend snowball? Well, you know what? Take a look at this, folks. This is the result of the dividend snowball. It's years and years of disciplined investing and reinvesting, and not taking your dividends out while you're investing, continuing to grow your holdings. So, and then the last thing I do want to cover is the calendar. So in my tool, I have a calendar where we show the symbol, ticker symbol, the name. We show the recent price. We show the number of shares in the holdings, the frequency of the dividend. That's actually quite important here because we have a calendar. So if you have a quarterly dividend, you don't want to show a dividend showing up every single month. We have the next payout date. We have the dividend yield, the forward yield, and the dividend rate in dollars and cents. This is the forward rate. This is the trending rate. And I have the trending rate here for the ETFs, and I've shaded it for them. So what I've done is looking at when the payout date is and knowing when something is coming out quarterly, we extrapolate that the next payment is, obviously we're told that it's in March, so then the next one's in June, and every 3 months. And then the final one is in December. This is the total annual dividend payment. This is it prorated quarterly. Most of his portfolio holdings are quarterly dividends. He does have a few monthly, like Stag Industrial. We talked about that. I believe he's got 2 others. I know he's got Jeppy. That is a monthly dividend payment. And I know he's got Realty Income. That's also monthly. I don't believe he has any others. Most of his are quarterly. I believe he's got one annual one. Let me find that. And it's a company that's been in the news recently, Activision Blizzard. We know that there's been a lot of discussion. There's an effort. Microsoft has invested in them, and they're looking to acquire them. Activision Blizzard is really an amazing company. They're very much at the epicenter of what's going to be the metaverse, the digital revolution 3.0, and Microsoft is looking to play a role in that. They have one dividend annual, and it's payable in May. Okay, so folks, that is the tool. I hope you found this entertaining and informative. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to provide any advice on how you might want to set up your own tool. And you know what? There's lots of tools out there. This one here has a lot of basic functionality and utility. I like it because it's simple. I understand it. I built it, so I get it. There are ones that are much fancier. They got the bells and whistles. I'm old school. I like it simple and something that I can, you know, articulate the ins and the outs of. So that's what I have. I would ask you if you would kindly please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That would help this channel keep going. Uh, I'm getting good feedback from folks that have reached out to me and said they like the channel. So I want to keep it going. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy sharing my experience. Um, Caveat, as you know, I'm not a professional financial advisor. Um, I've been doing this for years on my own. I would urge you, before you make any investments, uh, please consult a professional advisor before you make your decision. And remember, when you make an investment decision, it's your decision. I can offer you advice and guidance, but go to your professional advisor. They're licensed professionals. You want to go to them. I have a licensed professional advisor, as I've mentioned. I bounce ideas off of them, and sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. It's okay. So, folks, that's it. I would say have a wonderful evening, and until our next video, have a great evening and God bless.